Hello and welcome to Impact Africa, our online TV where we get to have conversations with diverse people and organizations who are impacting lives. Yes, this is me, Kemi Akiode Adebayo, aka Mama K. In today's program, I've got a dear sister, a visionary, a determined, hardworking. I will go on and on about this dear big sister of mine. Her name is Elsie Wope. She is from Cameroun and she's one of the co-founders and director of Elsma Business Partners based in Cape Town. My dear sister Elsie, don't mind me. So you're an entrepreneur, you're a property owner, you're a property manager. You wear all these different hats. Tell us, I know you're from Cameroun, but tell us, where are you exactly from in Cameroun?
I am exactly from a little town in Cameroun, in the English-speaking part of Cameroun called Limbe.
Okay.
It used to be Victoria in those days, but they recently changed the name to Limbe. And I grew up in a little suburb called Middle Farms in Bota with my mom. We grew up together. With
okay. Are you an only child?
No, I'm not an only child. I have other siblings.
Okay, what position are you in? Are you the eldest or the youngest?
I'm the penultimate. The last but one.
All right, yeah. Awesome.
And I think I was my mom's favorite.
I hope your siblings agree with you that you are the favorite, because we always argue with my mom. We have, oh, she's the favorite. No, I'm the favorite. Okay, so you're from that English speaking okay. So tell us about life growing up in Cameroun.
Life growing up in Cameroun was, as a child, it was lovely. You know, you look at things in a child of a mind. Everything that you're being offered is good, is great. There was a lot of family, community. You see family all the time. There were times when I tell people we used to be 11 to 12 people under the same roof.
I can relate.
Under the same roof. And when in those cases, the elders will sleep on the bed, and then since they were short of bed, we the younger ones will sleep on the floor.
On the mat.
On the mat. But we loved it. We loved it because it was time for storytelling and having fun. You go on and on at night, and the elders will have to come to you. Shh, can you just be quiet?
Because you guys are still talking
and chatting. So just for me as a child, my childhood was enjoyable.
Awesome. And I love what you're wearing. Yeah. Is this from Cameroun?
Yes, it's from Cameroun. I'm usually being spoiled by my friends when I go for holidays. They give me gifts, and most often it's clothing items. And so this one is one of the gifts that was given to me by a friend of mine. And they call it Kabangondo.
Kabangondo. Okay. Yes, the Kaba seems similar to what Yoruba people in Nigeria, where we say Kaba, which is a gown.
Yes, it's
basically.
A gown.
So it is a gown.
It is a
but
gown.
As you're a fashionista, you've added a belt.
Yes, as a fashionista, I belted it up so that to expose my trim, the shape,
yes.
My trim line. So yeah, that's another variation to it. But normally the women will wear it ample because it's usually hot. So you need that free flowing gown to make you feel airy and fresh. So that's the idea.
And food in Cameroun?
Food in Cameroun, oh gosh.
What are some of the popular food?
I tell people you can go for 2 weeks eating something different each day. We have similar to what you have in Nigeria. I think you have cocoyams,
right? Which I'm sure rice dish.
Rice dish. Cocoyams you can do in various forms.
Right.
You can grate these cocoyams and then tie them up in little leaves in something they call ekwang. Very delicious. Otherwise, you can also cut it up into little pieces and do a kind of what do they call it? They call it in French ragout.
Okay.
Actually, in Cameroun, they call it turning
right.
because you mix it up, turning cocoa
I
Yeah,
see.
because you turn it up with
Okay,
oil,
and it's called
everything.
in French ragu.
Ragu, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So tell us your education background as well. Did you school in Cameroon or
Yes,
outside Cameroon?
I did all of my education in Cameroon. I
Okay.
started off in a primary school in the Middle Farms. Then I went to secondary school, Seka Baptist College. You must have heard about it. It's a Christian all-girls college, boarding. And later on, I went to university, still in Cameroon, University of Yaoundé, in the capital of Cameroon. And
What did you study at University of Cameroon?
at university, interestingly enough, I did a degree in English. However, when I was in secondary school, I was very good in the sciences, but due to certain circumstances, things change.
Like it all. And I think when we're young, we never even know what we want to do. I don't know whether your parents had an influence, whether your mom had an influence in you deciding on what course you had to, you decided yourself.
I decided on my own.
Oh,
sometimes circumstances in life change your plans and what you have in mind, and you find yourself where you are.
Interesting. So tell us now, Yaoundé, from that village in Cameroon to Yaoundé and Cape Town. How or why did you and when did you relocate to South Africa?
Oh, when did we relocate to South Africa? We came here 25 years ago.
Okay, wow.
Yeah,
that's a long time ago.
That's a long time ago. From Yaoundé to, I was working in Yaoundé as a teacher.
Okay.
I had my 2 boys already, but my husband decided we should relocate, and as a good wife,
you followed.
I said, okay, if that's what you choose,
like we all followed. Don't worry, I followed my husband to here to South Africa.
I just said, okay, that's what you want, then I'll go, because I don't believe in families being separated, split. I believe that, especially as the children are young, they should live with both parents. So I found it necessary for me to come along with him. And so I found myself in Cape Town.
Well, did you come straight to Cape Town? Because a lot of people go to Johannesburg first and then eventually move.
Yes. We were in Johannesburg for 1 year, and then we moved down to Cape Town. Okay.
And how has life been in Cape Town for you?
Oh,
what stands out for you in South Africa as a whole?
What stands out for me in South Africa is the orderliness. People respect law and order. Orderliness in the sense that one of the things which I found which struck me was people standing in a queue to get into the bus, everybody online, no scrambling and rushing to,
which is typical of people on our side of the world. Although it's getting better. It's actually getting better.
It's getting better as I hear. It's getting better. That was one of the things that stood out for me. And the infrastructure. Okay. Yeah, you have tall buildings. The roads are good. In the city, you find double, triple lanes on the road, which is something we don't have in our part of the country that I came from. So those are one of the things that stood out for me. So
you mentioned there about infrastructure standing up for you, and you got into property, and your journey, studied English, even though you said you like sciences, but you now became a teacher, and then you came here. When did you go into property, management, and when was Elsma started?
When was Elsma started? Property, to be honest with you, and interestingly enough, we stumbled into it. It's not as if it was one of my dreams,
made a
decision. Oh, I want to be a property manager. I'm going to start doing this and that. I'm going to go to school and study property management. No, it wasn't like that. It's a bit of a long story, but I'll try to make it short. When we came to Cape Town, my husband was busy on his job, I didn't have anything particular to do because I just moved into the country as an English teacher to get a job to teach. A government job, normally they would require you to have a special skill, and teaching of English wasn't a special skill. So there was that difficulty. I couldn't go back to teaching. So we started thinking about what I should do.
Because you didn't want to stay at home doing nothing, although you had 2 young sons, as you said.
After 3 years of staying at home, taking care of them, I said, no, it's high time for me to get intellectually stimulated somehow, or else the brain starts getting restless.
I know, right?
So in the course of all of this, we're thinking about what to do. And the most evident thing is for you to start off your own business. If you can't get a job, you create one. So we looked into the papers. There was an opportunity of a lady who was from Holland, who had a business, and she was selling her business because she wanted to relocate, go back to her home country. And so we met her, chatted with her, see what she was all about, and it was something which was quite interesting. It was innovative.
So it was an existing business.
It's an existing
business. So then you just saw the opportunity based on you not having anything and all the other challenge that, like you said, you create jobs. Yeah,
that's correct. It was an existing business. What business was it? It was something similar to what you have now as Postnet.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a one-stop shop where you could do lots of things like internet sending, emailing, posting, typing, photocopying.
So all kind of IT-based office admin, service.
Office service, yeah. So we got into it, bought the business over, and well, there was some stationery also that could be sold. People pick up things, and we also rendered courier services as well.
Yeah.
The whole idea behind this business was the fact that there were lots of tourists coming into the country.
Right.
Yeah, at the time, and the business was based in town where tourists always.
So you had the market.
So we had the market, and the fact that the post office, which normally also does those kind of services, sometimes they close off at a particular time around 5 p.m. But we opened further extended time.
So that was your unique.
That was my unique
selling point.
That's it. Yeah. So sometimes tourists in their rush, they have to travel the following day, but they have the stuff that they've bought. They're interested in crafts. What do you call them?
The craft and all the souvenirs and everything.
Items, yes. So now they have to travel the following day, maybe first early flight, but they have the stuff that they need to have couriered, so they'll come to us. Because now the post office probably is closed,
it's closed,
and they have they need somewhere to put their stuff, wrap it up, and have it couriered, so they come to us. So that's how we gain our market.
Right.
So it was a thriving business. It went on well for a few years. Then things became rough. After 9/11. So there was some kind of interruption, less tourists coming into the country, so our business went down. And so it went to a point where we couldn't even afford to pay the workers, because I had 5 ladies working for me, under me. Couldn't pay the workers, who couldn't pay the rent. We wanted now to close down the business, but then we were still in the lease. We had signed the lease for 5 years,
which was still running. Yes.
And at that time, the rental business was more in favor of the landlord. Not the tenant, unfortunately. So there came a time when we had to pack out of the place, because I decided I can't carry on like this. And we moved out, but however, we had to still continue paying the rent for the rest of the period which we signed for. So something started ticking. We now decided that this thing about being on the other side is the better option to be. It's the better side to be.
And that is through the challenge you have to now say, okay, this is an opportunity for us to be a landlord rather than be a tenant. Okay.
So now we started looking for a property to buy.
Wow. Okay.
And as things unfold, as God's hand is always behind people. We had this opportunity. We bought our first property in Marbury, now at a different area. Because
not town, but you went outside of town,
yes,
which will probably be a little bit cheaper anyway than what the CBD, offered. Yeah.
So we managed and we got one property, and then we took out our stuff from town to the new property.
But you were still paying the rent.
But we're still paying the rent. But we needed to somehow trade to make up something to carry on with the lease there. So we got this property, we moved out our stuff, we started trading. It was slow, but it gave us some money at least to carry on paying the rent. And given that it was in Marbury, which is close to UCT University, we had university students coming in to use our facilities.
So you had a market already there at that site.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how the property thing came into play.
Wow.
And fortunately enough, the building we bought had some accommodation space at the back.
Okay.
And then the idea of students around, people started inquiring. They would like to rent to stay as a student because they are not happy being on the campus. They prefer to stay out of campus. And so we got some students in. It was just about 5 rooms, so we had 5 students. And that's how it began.
Wow. What a journey. And seeing a challenge and basically turning it into an opportunity. Not even seeing, experiencing. Because like you said, you couldn't afford to pay staff, you couldn't pay rent, but you didn't give up and you basically just felt, wow, okay. But you know what? We'll be right back. Wow, sis, you have gone through so much. And when people see you now, they probably think, wow, she had it, given to her, but you had worked hard, for where you are, even without you saying some things, which I know if we even had all the time, we won't be able to, complete them, today. So your journey from Cameroon to Johannesburg to Cape Town, and basically buying a business, seeing an opportunity, through the challenge, you went into the property business. What has stand out for you in the last, I don't know how many years you've been running, your business? What has stood out, for you? What are you mostly proud of? And especially as somebody who's an expatriate.
I'm proud of the fact that I've been able to achieve what I've achieved. And my achievements being the fact that I've set up a business, put systems in place, been able to have people gain employment, because at the moment I have 3 people working for me, 3 staff. So that means I've contributed in alleviating, I can say, poverty or providing employment for people, which is a big need.
And the service for the client, your clientele. A lot of students are always like, where can we find a safe or affordable, depending on, what your unique selling point is as well on that. So that alone, is a big one. So to you, how would you define success?
I have this slogan. Success is when opportunity meets preparedness. When you have an opportunity and you are prepared, then there's an explosion. It explodes. You become successful. How do you get prepared? You can prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, psychologically, intellectually. That is, as my husband puts it, you should always be a universal student, an eternal student, always studying, getting yourself geared up and ready. So
that is so true. I agree. So and as an entrepreneur, you're a leader as well.
Yeah.
And you've said, a few things, obviously in terms of what qualities a good leader should have. So, but what other qualities for you has stood out for you as a leader and an entrepreneur? What personal qualities? I know a lot of people shy away from saying I want to sell myself, but I think for the young ones or people who are wanting to go into business or being a leader who are in leadership role, they will learn from that. So what personal qualities, should the leader have that has stood out for you personally?
I think a leader should be honest. You should be able to communicate clearly.
Right.
Honesty, candid, teachable. Watch what you say.
Right.
Because speech is very important.
And powerful.
It can make or mar a person. So watch your tongue. Don't be glib in speaking. Be careful what you say. Because sometimes the right thing said at the wrong moment can be very dangerous. Even if you're right sometimes, you have to check, you have to gauge the circumstances.
And I think for you as a Christian and myself, in the Bible even says the power the power of life and death, or death.
The power of words.
Yeah, the power of words.
Yeah.
So, you as a leader, so you need to make sure you're very careful, in terms of what you say. So now let me go on to, because I know you could go on, for us there sharing some of, because it's not, something that you've learned over 5 years, it's something that you've developed for, as a life journey. What are some of the key life lessons, that you can share with us that maybe a young Elsie back in Yaoundé will be able to learn from? A young, 10-year-old will be able to say, okay, what key life lessons has helped you as you've journeyed through life as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a woman, as a mother? What key life lessons can you share with us?
I would like to share the fact that young people shouldn't shy away from failing.
I love that.
Nobody is immune to failing. Anybody can fail, but it's the way you approach failure, how you accept it and then use it as a learning curve, how you can change your life from one thing to the other because of the fact that you failed. You shouldn't take failure as the end of your world. Use it as a stepping stone, a springboard.
Right.
To emerge and get to what you want to be. That's the one. And another thing which I've learned is, it's not the beginning that matters, it's the end. And talking about failure, I just think about what our great Nelson Mandela said about, if I paraphrase, your grave in your darkest moments, your graveyards should be turned to planters.
Wow. I haven't heard that one. I'm hearing that one for the first time.
Yeah.
From him.
So your graveyard is not that where you stay and die forever. You should use it to plant. What does it mean to plant? To sow your seeds of success. That's where you start thinking, when at your darkest moments, that's when you start thinking about how to make it. Because each time when things are going well, you just feel okay. You tend to relax.
Yeah.
But when things start getting a bit tough,
Wow.
it pushes you to be creative, to think out of the box.
Yes.
And then ideas will start flowing.
Wow. Those are deep ones that you've shared, but you know what? We'll be right back. So much respect, I have for you that now I'm even having more, because I didn't know some of this, and the fact, what you shared in the last segment, about young people not to be afraid of failure and, not embracing it and using it as a stepping stone because you've been there. So you're not just saying it. We celebrate Women's Month regularly in Africa. There's an international one, which is normally in March, and then in South Africa, we do it in August. For you as a woman, what more can be done, to help break the barriers and for gender equality? However, before you answer that, I know, with your business, you're co-founder of the business, and your husband, has been one person that has been, you mentioned that you came with him here, you followed him. So what impact, has he had in your life as a man, and supporting a woman, before we go on to the women question?
Doing business, getting this business up and running, and getting it where it is basically more due to his ambition and entrepreneurship. Now, you call me an entrepreneur. I'm not the entrepreneur. My husband is.
No,
he's the one with the vision. He's a visionary one.
You are still an entrepreneur because you're running the business. He has the vision. Maybe you have other qualities. Like you said, the tenacity, the perseverance. So you are still an entrepreneur. You're both entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But he was the one, basically, you're saying, that had and saw the vision, and I think you complement each other.
Exactly.
So please, my sister, you're an entrepreneur. You are an entrepreneur.
So we complement each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. And people used to wonder, how do you manage to work with your husband?
I was going to ask that next, actually, before we go, because I don't think I can work with my own husband. We'll be fighting.
And I tell them, well, when you have the same vision, you have the same passion, you have the same drive, you know where you're heading to, you make things work.
But personality differs, because I think that's where with my husband, I don't think the way you guys work that close. I don't know, but because my personality is different from his personality,
my personality is different from my husband's personality.
Oh, okay. So it's still there.
It's still the same. We have different perspectives,
right?
Different ways of looking at things, different way the business should be run. Sometimes we clash. But
I was just how do you deal with those clashes?
How do you deal with those clashes?
Without making sure it's, carries on when you get home. Does things stop at work or it carries on?
There's no magic. It cannot stop at work. We don't have that magic wand. I can't pretend and lie. It sometimes carries on to home. But at the end of the day, you know what you're after.
Yes.
And then you know how. It's just like any marriage problem that you have. the fact that we are still together, it means that we've been able to solve,
communicate,
compromise, and sort out things at the end of the day.
No, kudos to you, my dear sister, because not a lot of people can do it. I'm just being honest. Not a lot of people can do it.
And one of the things, when you ask me what I'm proud of, I can say I'm proud of the fact that I've influenced other people to be able to work with their husbands.
Ah, okay.
Yes, because when we started, people were asking, but this is interesting. You're working with your husband. And before I knew it, they have already started copying. I know I can cite...
Learning from good practice.
Practice. I can cite 4, 5 couples that initially they told me, no, I can't do this. I won't be able to. But before I realized it, they had followed suit. And they are getting on. So
maybe I need to come and learn more, because my husband, I'm retired, I claim, and my husband says he's going to retire next year. So, and he wants to come and join me with my charity work and so on, because he feels there's a lot of fulfillment, and he's been behind me. So maybe I need to be one of the people as well to come and learn from you guys how you cope.
No, the different personalities also play a good role. You can complement each other. There are times when I say something to my tenants, he will tell me, you're being too harsh, and the other times you're being too soft.
Yes. So you balance each other when you need to. And I think that's the beauty of partnership in marriage and business, partnership.
So we complement each other beautifully.
Interesting. So any of your sons, are they into business, or because young people nowadays, they make up their own, they have their own plans.
They have their own plans, not into our kind of business. Maybe business, but not our kind.
Okay, but they're into business.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, they have their jobs and they're doing well. Their interests, their fulfillment in what they're doing.
I agree, but learning, I will give you a tip now. In Cameroun, I've learned from my parents who started business and so on, and started as both teachers, and then one became a lawyer, and then one continued with her teaching, my mom, and they didn't have a succession plan in terms of the business. So it's not necessarily about the business going to your children, or if you feel that's not the line, but having a succession plan so that the business can carry and not leave one. And I think that's what I don't know, maybe you've taken that on board, whether they're involved or not, but having a kind of how does this business outlive us, because my dad in the end had to close his law practice because there was no succession plan, in terms of, okay, even if none of my children did law, how does it carry on? So maybe that's something
to think about. Of course,
so let me go now to the women issue. What more can be done to improve gender equality? What do you think as a woman?
That's a difficult question for me to answer, to be honest. I think even the governments and big societies, they are still struggling with that. It's an ongoing problem. But I think what I can add to that is that it's more education. Education. Women must be educated.
Especially a girl child.
Empowerment, like the kind of thing you're doing. See that women teach them or stimulate them to be creative in their own ways, by they can come up with business opportunities. You teach them crafts and a trade, like what you're doing, I guess, and keep them busy. Let them know that they can do things for themselves. They shouldn't rely entirely on their husbands or men. Then there are lots of opportunities out there. They just need to go out and look
and seek and grab it and take it. Thank you for that input, because like you said, obviously there's still more that needs to be done, And I don't think we're there yet, but we're not where we used to be when it comes to gender equality. In terms of social issues, because there's a lot of social issues that we have around the world, you know, that we all are either passionate about or are aware of, from teenage pregnancy to poverty to a lot of things. What for you is a social issue that means something to you, and what are the solutions? Any solution to that particular issue?
One of the social issues which have struck me, which really breaks my heart, is this aspect of Africans going to Europe or America, migrating. Sometimes not even sometimes, always at big risks of losing their lives to go on board the boat.
Trying to cross over.
You know, they go through some of them creep under barbed wires and dangerous
and they die on the road.
Some of them die on the road. But despite the deaths, it still doesn't deter others from venturing. So what is it that is driving them? What's the driving force that they want to leave their hometowns, their home countries, to go to other countries, thinking it's greener there? And sometimes when they go out there, the situation is not the best.
What they expected.
Not what they expected. You see, they live in terrible conditions. Some of them can't make it. They don't find jobs. You see them sleeping on the streets and stuff like that. So it really breaks my heart. But however, despite the difficulties that they have back at home, the perceived difficulties, there are still lots of things that can be done, that they can do.
Because if one of them is listening to you now that was already had plans to say, you know what, and as we say in West Africa, and Central Africa, it's not my portion because, you know, you believe in God. Oh, no, let me go and try my own luck. It's not my portion. God will not, you know, what can we say to say, in terms of solution that will give that person hope to say, okay, you know what, I'm not going to take that risk.
I don't have a magic wand to say that I can give the solution here. It's a difficult one, but what I can say is that people should just try to think out of the box.
Right.
Because there are others out there back at home who are really making it.
Yeah.
Because they are determined. I give an example of there's a young guy in Cameroun. He started using plastics, these plastic bottles, which normally should have been thrown away or discarded.
So it's recycling.
He's using it, putting it together to build walls.
I've seen that. Yeah, they put the mud. I've seen that. Yes, and it's so fascinating. And it's helping to deal with environmental issues, which we're not addressing as much yet in Africa.
So to me, that's a very brilliant idea, and people can emulate that. Think about not like a particular one, but then there are several other things which can be done. I mean, who would have thought of that kind of
You're right. So you just need to think outside the box.
Out of the box.
What you shared earlier at the beginning with how, from your experience of, you bought into this business and then you now found yourself, you couldn't keep up because of external influence, 9/11 and all sorts. But you now felt, between yourself and your husband, what should we do? So you have to think outside the box. How can we be on the other side? So through that challenge, because somebody would have given up and said, you know what, they're not cut out for it. I'm going back to look for, I'll get my CV and I'm going back, to look for work. So what you're saying is, yes, we need to be more creative. We need to think really, really outside the box in terms of how does business happen? It's from a challenge that creates opportunity. And we have a lot of challenges in Africa. Wow. Okay. I don't know whether there's anything else you want to add, to that. But I think you just hit it on the nail. Like you said, you don't have a magic wand. But that just reflecting and thinking, outside the box is a big one.
Yeah.
That maybe people are not doing.
Yeah, people are not doing, but some people are doing.
Hmm.
Some people are doing. You have little startups. They have difficulties, but they are holding on to it. So those who have the idea that it's only greener on the other side, they should just look at what their other fellow brothers and sisters are doing, and go for it.
Hold each other's hand. Support each other.
Support each other.
Wow, my dear sister Elsie, thank you. It's been an honor. I've been told we've run out of time. I would have really loved to continue, but I'm sure we'll want to come again. Maybe the opportunity to share with your husband as well, if he agrees to it, for us to just have more conversation, a deeper, conversation on the business side, because definitely a lot of people will want to learn from you guys. And I salute you, I celebrate you, I appreciate you as a woman, as an entrepreneur, a mother, an African. How is, staying and has gone out of our own environment to impact lives in different way, than, the obvious way that a lot of people normally think. Providing employment. There's a lot, you're doing. Providing an opportunity even for the business people to rent, where you are. So well done and kudos to you.
Thank you.
I pray God continue to lift you up, to shine his face upon you, and for you, to keep having excellent health, because you look good. You look amazing. I would want to ask your age, because I know a lot of women don't like that. But I know, and I know you look good for your age. You look superb for your age.
Thank you.
Well done. Kudos to you. And I'm hoping as well, because what we do, we try and identify people, male and female, who can mentor some of our young ones in township and other areas, either business or informally, formally. I'm now going to ask you officially, is that something you wouldn't mind? I don't know when, but you wouldn't mind helping us with, if we find people that we can match with you to mentor, as we go?
I wouldn't mind doing that. In fact, we have another forum which is organized by our church, Cameroun Church, which I'm partly involved in. Okay. But given that I have not been too well recently, that's why I dropped off. But I know I'm involved in that kind of thing. I know how it works. So
awesome.
At the time when I'm ready, I'll let you know, and I'll be very willing to assist.
Thank you. Thank you. So in closing, we always do this. We've spoken about a lot of things there, and you've given a lot of tips, a lot of advice, really insightful, really useful. But what we'll want you to do is, if you could, just speak, in closing, to anyone you want to speak to out there. Women, young people, Cameroonians, South Africans, anyone. Just pick anyone, for yourself. Even the African migrants that you're talking about that risk their lives to go to Europe under different conditions. So if you could just look in the camera and just speak to them for us.
I'm just going to speak in general about life, the way I look at life. That is, as I said before, it is not the beginning that counts, but it's the end. I started off as a little girl in a little town. I was good in the sciences, but I eventually did English, and I became an English teacher. And when I came to South Africa, I became a property manager. I never knew that I was going to do property before. I never heard of property, people doing property as a career. I knew that you have your house, you pay your rent, you stay in it. But there was this transition from one thing to the other. So what I would advise people to do, or the way they can carry out their lives, is that they shouldn't be very fixated on a particular venture. They should just be open to opportunities that come their way, and they grab the opportunity as they come. So there is no clear-cut pattern. You can, when young, you have a particular goal, but then as things might turn out, you might not end up achieving that particular goal which you had intended, but something else might come up, and because of circumstances, you just grab what you have. So that's my little advice that I can give to young people growing up. And with regards to those who leave Africa to risk their life to go to America or Europe, I would advise them that that's not the best way to go about it. There is more and lots of things we can do in Africa. We need to develop our own continent rather than going to seek for greener pastures somewhere else. The grass is not always green on the other side.
Wow, you see, I'm writing there. There's a lot you've said there. And thank you for speaking to different groupings there. The fact that you're saying people need to be open to opportunities, to grab opportunities, you know, and it is not the start that matters, but the end, you know, and that matters. And yes, we need to develop Africa. We need to do more in Africa. And there's a lot of opportunities in Africa. Thank you so much, you know, for that, Sister Esther. I really celebrate you and I really appreciate you. Well, that's all we've got time for. I hope you've learned one or two things, more than one thing. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, but it has been humbling for me to hear and how, you know, the story of a dear sister and friend, how sharing a story, even if it's just for a little bit, has really, really opened my eyes as well. And I hope it has done the same for you too as well. And we keep encouraging you guys. Please, please keep on keeping on. Keep on, like she said, taking opportunities, the right opportunity. And I hope, you know, we'll be able to come back, you know, to share more in the future. So till next time, this is Mama K signing off, saying stay safe, stay blessed. Love you guys. And sis, anything you want to say? How do you say bye-bye?
Au revoir.
Au revoir.